But that's not something businesses necessarily care about too much. I think businesses are a little bit more concerned about the bottom line, right? And the bottom line in this case is quite a positive story. Let's talk about United Airlines, for instance. So United Airlines is a company that obviously flies clients all over the world, and the pilots are required to carry flight bags. These are 50-pound bags full of paper, and they have, weather patterns and runway information, all this good stuff. Well, they're 50 pounds a pop. You have to have 3 in the plane, 1 for each pilot and a backup. Well, United figured out, hey, well, why don't we keep 1 hard copy? That'll get us down to 50 pounds instead of 150, and we'll give iPads in place of the 2 flight bags, okay, for the pilots. So the pilots have their iPads, and they have all the Jeppesen is the app they use for all the flight information, and they ended up, by deploying iPads and getting rid of that 100 pounds, they saved themselves 250,000 gallons of jet fuel annually. Amazing. It's an insane amount of money that they save deploying the iPad, right? And that doesn't even touch on the printing costs that they cut out and the shipping costs for shipping that paper around the world. So just a huge money-saving endeavor with deploying iPads. Every other airline is scrambling to catch up and do the same thing. That's just one example, right? So we don't want to look at iPads as being an extra cost. We want to look at the iPads, creatively look at how we can deploy them in our companies in a way to save money, and then not only save money, to make us money. Look at a company like, and I'm sort of rambling off the top of my head about these companies. We're not going to talk about these examples. We're going to talk about a few examples in a minute, but I just wanted to touch on Nordstrom for a minute. Nordstrom, if you ever go into Nordstrom nowadays, point of sale on the floor, every employee has a little sled. It's made by Infinite Peripherals. It's a little box with a little credit card reader on it, right? And you can be walking around any place in the store at Nordstrom's, see an employee, and they will ring you up right there on the spot. You don't have to stand in line. Now, why did they decide to do this, right? Well, I was reading some interviews with their executives, and they did a little research, and they figured out that if somebody stands in line more than 3 minutes, that person, a certain percentage of those people will end up putting the product down that they were going to buy and walk out of the store. The impulse purchase is over. After 3 minutes, the things start to decline. Probability declines that you're going to make a sale. So why not put an iPod Touch in a sled in everybody's hand in the store that's an employee, and people can buy directly from anybody? Well, they did it, and the gamble paid off. They were one of the first companies to do this, and they saw a tremendous increase in their sales. 30%, I think, is the number that was thrown around. So there are a lot of case studies. If you go to apple.com/iPad/business, I've talked about that site a lot. It's a really wonderful site. There's a profiles link at the top. If you click that, you can look at all the profiles of a number of companies that have deployed the iPad, and you'll hear their success stories and what they got out of it, right? So let's take a look at some of those examples. I happen to have a few here. I divided the examples that I collected into 4 different sections. Sales. iPad is a wonderful sales tool, and similarly, field services. Any place where there's a clipboard or you need a lot of data out in the field, iPad is a wonderful tool to cut out printing costs. Business analytics for management, very popular. iPad is very popular for that purpose. And then lastly, general productivity, just getting your work done, right? We see these things. We see the iPad in every business now, nearly being used at least at that level. So, talking about a mobile sales worker, iPad has really taken off in this vertical, as we call it. It's from everything from point of sale to looking at dashboards for knowing inventory, right? Doing sales for invoicing and accessing your CRMs. There's a tool out there for all of these that have been pre-made. In this case, you could make your own if you wanted, but you don't need to. You can always just use the solutions that are out there. So for point of sale, we highlighted Square here. It's a great solution where you can sell your ware and slide a credit card and PayPal. You get your money right away, right? It's a great solution for a mom and pop. A little more sophisticated solution that's for like an actual chain. I think Level Systems is the most popular and well known of the solutions out there. A really nice competitor to Micros. Micros solutions are well over 10 grand. You can get away with with a point of sale with an iPad, and I'm talking about the drawer, I'm talking about the printer and the bezel to hold the iPad. You can do it all for less than $3,000 with licensing. So wow, what a great cost savings. So point of sale is really taken off. Mobile Edge for Oracle is listed here with dashboard info. SAP has their own. Access your CRM with Salesforce Mobile, and of course we have a quick sell for invoicing. So a few examples of applications there. All these apps are highlighted on our website. You can take a look at. There's some PDFs on the apple.com/iPad/business site. Take a look at those and learn more about these apps if you'd like. Medtronic is a company that early on adopted the iPad as a sales tool, and they've been very public about the success and the increase in sales they've had as a result. Estee Lauder is a really interesting company. They ended up, if you ever go into the mall and you go into a department store, you're going to see that Estee Lauder, they used to have these, these Pantone sort of kits to help people figure out their skin tone and what colors look good on them with their makeup. And anyway, Estee Lauder ripped all those out and put in place a nice iPad and a bezel, really nice looking device. Apple makes beautiful hardware, and they put a really neat app on there that does basically the same thing, but it's a little bit more interactive, a little more feature rich. They saw a triple in their average sales price, a triple. So the iPads were paid for in the first week, and now they're just raking in the dough. So it's really wonderful to see how the iPad is being used to increase profits. Definitely don't want to look at it as a burden on our pocketbook. It's not. It's just a way to make money and save money, right? Sunbelt Rentals is an interesting example here. That's a company that rents out heavy equipment, right? And this is what they used before. They had a printed out version of their inventory, and they had to hop on the phone and all this to talk to somebody at headquarters to figure out what's available and on what date and all this good stuff. A lot of paperwork. They got rid of that. They got rid of that old folder, and they put in place of it a series of applications on the phone and on the iPad. And now they can do it all, right? They've built their own tools to access their inventory, to actually do the rental sale. As people in the field were walking around and walking into their customers' doors, they can pull out their phone. They instantly access via 3G or potentially via Wi-Fi the inventory, right, to know what's available when. They don't have to get on the phone. It's a seamless user experience, and let's face it. I mean, it makes you look sophisticated. You're with it, right? You're not old-fashioned. You're on the cutting edge, and you're making life a lot more efficient for everybody, including your customers. So, and this is the app they created, like I said, for their iPad. It's a really pretty app, and in fact, I don't believe they built this themselves. They had a company build it for them. Okay, and I should mention also, I work exclusively with PC Mall, so I know their business fairly well, and I've been noticing that they've been selling quite a few engagements with their customers where they'll have a company come in. The company's called eTouch, the company they partnered with. They're a software developer, right? So eTouch is a software developer. They've developed the NASA app. If you've ever downloaded that, it's really cool. They've created apps for GE, for Red Robin, a bunch of companies out there. Anyway, so if you're interested in having an app developed for you, talk to your sales rep, and we'll get you in touch with PC Mall Services, and they can develop applications for you. Now, if you're with Mac Mall, I don't believe that that's an option, but eTouch will always develop for you, so you can reach out to them, okay? So anyway, moving on, I digress again. So in action, what did they say? Well, we interviewed them, and we got some information about the actual effect, and they made money. They made money by going down taking on this project of converting everything to digital and using an iPad. They get more customers in a day. They have better information about their customers, so that they're well equipped when they walk in the door. They have real-time access to their equipment availability and deliver quotes on the spot, reserve that hardware, and limited trips back to the office and on the phone, right? So, wow, what a great success story, making money. So let's jump into the next quadrant of the four examples I was going to show you. This is field service, and I love this. I love this example. we'll look at GE in a minute, but here are a few types of apps that are out there for field service. We have navigation apps, inventory apps, blueprints, service tools, tech docs, and all the way to the right, not starting to the left this time, let's look at the right, we have Jeppesen. Jeppesen is the app that United is using, as I understand it, to do all their flight planning, right? So instead of that heavy bag, they're using this app from Jeppesen to do their flight planning. And then we have, of course, everybody should know AutoCAD at this point. There's a version for the iPad, wonderful application. FileMaker Go, great database tool. And then, of course, we have a GPS app for MotionX. These are just a few examples. There are hundreds of apps out there. If you're interested in which one's going to work best for you, I suggest leveraging the App Store, right? Launch the App Store on your Mac, go into iTunes, go to the App Store, or get on your iPad or iPhone to go to the App Store, and do a search for the type of app you're looking for, and then look at the reviews, look at the number of stars, get the feedback, and then figure out if it's going to work for you. I mean, it's really the best way to figure out which app is the best for your purposes. And if you ever have any questions about which app you need, reach out to me. My email is zorak, Z-O-R-A-K, @apple.com. I'd love to do some research for you and give you what information I can find, and you can make an educated decision based upon what we can all work together to find. So anyway, let's look at, oh, I'm sorry, it's Siemens, not GE. So Siemens, that's right, they did something very amazing. They, just like United, cut out printing costs and shipping costs. They used to have these manuals that they would have to carry to the top of these gigantic wind farms, right? So these huge turbines. And by the way, look at the scale of these things. It's amazing. That's not a fly. That is a human being on a rope climbing to the top of one of these things, these wind turbines. They're insanely big. But anyway, the point is they, before the iPad came along, they would have to have these repair manuals printed up, shipped out, and then there was one for each model, and there's different hardware up there apparently on different turbines, and it was quite costly. So they got an iPad, and they can centrally manage what the manuals look like. So if there are revisions to the manual, then they use a software like Mobile Echo or a software like Bablet. These are applications that allow you in IT or wherever centrally to push out revisions of software, of information. These could be sales PDFs that you send out to your sales organization, marketing PDFs. You can revise them, like I said, put out new revisions of marketing information. You can track who's looking at what, right? So you might find that you created a marketing doc, for instance, and you have 300 people looking at it, but only 100 people looked at the other one. Well, sounds like 300 people, that sounds like you have a better marketing doc. 300 people are looking at it versus 100. So it's a really good tool for you in marketing to understand, how effective your material is. And let's face it, if I'm going to look at marketing material, I'd much rather look at it on an iPad, a very beautiful piece of hardware, versus a pamphlet, a piece of paper that I probably am going to throw in the trash later that day, right? So anyway, back to field service. Yeah, another great way to push out soft copies of content, save on weight, save on printing, and it really paid off for Siemens. We have some feedback from them as well here. This is what it looked like before, right? There's their bag full of all sorts of paper. And then this is what we moved to. So just a beautiful app that they had developed for them. And there we go. So we asked them, so well, what was the end result? Please tell us, Siemens. And they said, well, we got rid of the heavy paper, right? And we saved time by enabling on-site data entry. So, remember, any place where there's a paper, like a clipboard, where people are filling in data, what a huge waste of time to have somebody fill something out and then go and type it in later, right? You've just doubled the amount of time it should have taken. If you have an iPad, you can make somebody that much more efficient by just having them do the data entry on an iPad. The data goes straight into a database, right? And it does it immediately. As long as you have a cell tower connection, it can do it immediately. Or your app can cache it locally until you get on Wi-Fi, right? There are a lot of ways to do it. But either way, the point is you're much more efficient with an iPad than you are with paper. You have real-time troubleshooting with remote experts. So there could be somebody 2,000 miles away that's the expert, and you can have a chat going with them, right? Instant access. You don't have, if you're in a place that's incredibly loud, I imagine being up on a wind turbine is pretty freaking loud with all the wind going by and all the machinery doing its thing. Remote chat is great. And anyway, again, another great success story, and they didn't share with the ROI with us, so we don't know exactly what the money is, but it obviously was profitable for them to do this. So, the next quadrant is business analytics. The iPad was very, very, very popular with the executives at companies, we noticed, and some very smart developers got in right away and wrote some dashboard tools. Roamby and MicroStrategy are a couple that made some really good business intelligence tools. And so if you are in management and you're interested in using the iPad, rest assured there are companies out there that are going to give you really interesting softwares for business analysis. And these companies, by the way, will tweak these tools for you. If you have a specific back end that's a little off kilter from the norm, PeopleSoft is very common, SAP, Oracle, all these things are common. If you have something that's a little off kilter and not in the mainstream, these companies are happy to go in and write their software to work with whatever you got going on, right? They may charge a little money to do it, but they'll definitely do it. Especially MicroStrategy, I heard, is really happy to do that. So anyway, reach out to me if you ever want to pursue that. I will get you in touch with the right people. But here, again, are a few examples of applications that can help you in your business from the management side. Like I said earlier, Roamby is the second one from the left there. They have a great dashboard software, and MicroStrategy does as well. Good business analysis software. NASDAQ won an award, the one all the way to the right, with their Director app. If you're a trader, they wrote a really wonderful app that, like I said, is award-winning. And then SAP has theirs. So let's take a look. Guess, this is just a quote from Guess. They ended up deploying a solution from business intelligence, right? Or MicroStrategy, I should say. MicroStrategy created an app for them, right? The dashboard app, and Guess was quite happy with their experience, and they gave us this quote that I'll let you read there. Visually compelling, accessible, actionable. These are great buzzwords that you want around your business, right? Makes you much more dynamic as an organization to be able to access this information, not only on the fly, but just in the way that it's being delivered. These tools, Roamby and MicroStrategy, for example, these dashboard tools, they not only have they're not only providing this information to you in a wonderful, compelling way, but they're also doing interesting things with the data that you may not have thought to do with the data, right? They have their own analytics that you may not have on your PC that may give you some insights that are really fascinating. So definitely something for you to look into. Life Technologies, this is an example of a company that uses our tools for business analytics. Before this, and if I went back 5 years, this is exactly what I was doing too, right? I had Excel. We probably all had Excel. Everybody on this call is using Excel at one level or another. And it's a very powerful tool, but let's face it, it's not a terribly fun user experience. And why not take all that data and pipe it into something usable, right? Very usable, and it's all done on the fly. There's not a lot. You don't have to write a macro, It's all just done for you. And also, like I said, if there's something that you need done with one of these applications, the code can be rewritten for you. You can just talk to Roamby. You can talk to MicroStrategy. They'll rewrite their app for you. And then you can purchase it from the Apple Store using those redemption codes. Nobody else can get it. It's just your company that will have a special version of their app that does specifically what you need this app to do, right? Also, I really like the fact that the project management, there are a lot of project management apps out there too. If there are companies out there on the phone today that have a big PMO, then I think you'll be really impressed with all the project management softwares that are out there. And I have a relative, a cousin of mine, she's a project manager, and man, she raves about how the iPad has made her life easier. Not only does she travel a lot, she loves the iPad for that, but she says that the tools in general are so much better for the iPad than they are for a PC. In the project management side, and I think that could probably be said about almost every vertical that's out there. But it's good to hear it from a person firsthand. Anyway, so in action, what did they get out of this when they deployed it? technologies. Constant access on up-to-date reports, that's wonderful. Informed decisions on the fly, wonderful. You could be anywhere and make a business decision. You don't have to be stuck with your laptop sitting down at a restaurant. Probably not going to happen. You can easily whip out your phone at a restaurant and make a business decision on the fly if you need to. Streamlined reporting needs, obviously, and then executives are in sync. Wow. Okay. Very compelling reasons to get into the business space there, the productivity space. Okay. So speaking of productivity, let's talk about our last quadrant, general productivity. This is where the iPad can be used by anybody in business for these reasons, right? First of all, note taking. It's a great notepad if you need to take notes. For brainstorming, everybody can have on their desktop, the same screen. You could have 30 iPads in the room. Everybody could be looking at the same thing on their own iPad, and they can all be typing in and adding to the session, right, in real time. What a wonderful way to brainstorm. We have virtual meetings. You can use the WebEx. You can use Fuse iMeeting. There are a lot of solutions out there. Why travel, right? Why pay the cost of all that jet fuel to fly somebody across the company when you can just pick up an iPad and have a meeting? And you can see the people in the room with you, right? It's really changing the way business is being executed, especially during these times when money is tight. It's a really great way to save travel expense. And then accessing files. This is always a question for people. Well, how do I get my files to my iPad, my iPhone? There are tons of ways to do it, we'll talk about those in this example in a minute. And then document editing. Not only can you open up Microsoft Office documents like XLS files and PPTs and DocX and whatever, not only can you open them up, you can create them from scratch using an iPad. That's right. So you can purchase a solution like Documents to Go or Quick Office Pro HD. Those are two solutions that will allow you to create Microsoft documents on your iPad and then either sync them to the cloud to get on onto your desktop, or you can actually, the Documents to Go application has a desktop app that you run on your PC or your Mac, and it'll actually sync the files over Wi-Fi. So you can send files to your iPad or pull them from your iPad to your desktop or laptop. I happen to use Documents to Go. I'm quite pleased with it. I love it. I love it. And believe me, I have a lot of documents that I have to haul around with me. And when I travel nowadays, I don't take a PC. I only take my iPad, and I have all my presentations on it. I have all my PDFs, and I can have a business discussion. I'm well prepared because all my documents are there. Great solution. But anyway, moving right to left this time, Pages. Like I said, this is your document editing app. Pages is the app from Apple, right, for editing for editing documents. Okay, I should say Microsoft documents. You can create Apple formatted docs with using Pages, but if you need to open or save from scratch a docx or a doc or an XLS or SLSX, you should go with Documents to Go or Quick Office Pro HD. All right. Apple makes Pages, Numbers, and Keynote for our presentations. Those are our productivity suite. I think Keynote is by far the best tool on a Mac or on an iPad or on a PC for that matter to create presentations. Steve Jobs was very much involved in the creation of that app. And you know how Steve Jobs was about his presentations, right? He demanded a lot of the software, and it was very much a huge influence on how, Keynote we call it, how the app was written and what it could do. PowerPoint, forget it. Keynote, amazing. It's a wonderful presentation tool if you're doing your own slide decks. Anyway, moving next to Share Plus. Share Plus is how we access a SharePoint backend. So if you're running a SharePoint backend, Microsoft SharePoint backend, download Share Plus. And you can download it from your Mac or your iPad or your iPhone and access your SharePoint database just like you would using the Microsoft tools. And it's a great user experience. Fuse Meeting, again, Wi-Fi across the country. You can have a meeting, see all your friends there, share documents. Then we have OmniGrapple for our brainstorming. Makes really nice flow charts as well. And then lastly, Evernote, a really good database for accessing content anywhere. So you can have your own personal database stored up in the cloud, You can put all your notes up there. You can put recipes up there. That's what I do with mine. I put a lot of recipes up on Evernote. I'll be at the grocery store, whip out my phone, pop open Evernote, and I have all my recipes right there. I can put a bunch of web pages on there that I want to look at later on. So take a look at Evernote. I think it's probably one of the most popular apps out there. It's a great tool. Here's a nice video from Genentech. Genentech's a company that adopted the iPad and the iPhone early on and started developing their own apps. And they have a nice video. And I think you'll find this video that they made fairly compelling. Take a look at it.